As I said kanina, lahat ng eksena, lahat ng scenes, it's a power play. So at yung eksena, that's a microcosm of the entire film. So a film is basically a power play ng characters. So lagi siyang power play, pataasan. Just like in the scene in Moral ni Mrs. Torres, pataasan yun. Pag nag-end yan, may mas mataas o pantay ba sila? So may kanya-kanya silang objective, yung dalawang characters, may kanya-kanya silang need, may kanya-kanyang kahon. Writing the scene. In a scene, usually we have what we call, initially, sa simula, you have the situation or the occasion. So that's the situation, the celebration, the etc. And then kailangan dalhin yung aso. By the end of the scene, there has to be what we call an event. A scene starts with a situation, it ends with an event. By event, I mean there's a point to the whole thing. May shift sa theme o sa characters o sa realization ng audience. Something happened. Okay? And something happened inside, sa meaning, sa loob ng characters. So by the end of the scene, may na-realize tayo. It led to something. That's the point of the scene. With every story, may binibigay tayo, may pinipresent tayo sa audience na isang klaseng mundo. Okay? So that's clear. At nandun yung punto. Anong klaseng mundo yun? Second, we have what we call a narrative choice. You have a choice how to present that world to the audience. I mentioned that I wrote Himala nakasabay ng Moral and Haplos. The world of Moral is a very real world where people talk and talk and talk. Nagpapatungan. Hindi hinihintay ang sagot. Hindi very organized and structured ang mga sentences. Flow of life siya. On the other hand, Himala is very classical. All the sentences end with a period and very structured. If there are 5 sentences, nag-escalate yun. Sentence 1, 2, 3, paakyat. So very structured, very written, very manipulated. It's classical. By classical, I don't mean yung magandang immortal. Hindi. Classical design. While Moral is very loose, hindi tight. So magkaiba yung dalawang mundo. So the characters in the two worlds operate, function differently. In Himala, very structured, very meditated ang mga galaw ng mga characters. It's almost as if kung ito yung realidad ng lupa, nakaangat ng konti yung Himala. Because Himala is allegorical, nakaangat siya ng konti. That's why some characters talk in the abstract, like the priest, katotohanan at kasinungalingan, so on. So it's very classical, angat siya ng konti sa realism. Pero yung Moral, nakatungtong sa realidad, way people talk. Nagpapatungan, and so on. Kuminsan may pinupuntahan, walang pinupuntahan. So totally magkaibang mundo. Pati dialoguing magkaiba, pati characterization magkaiba. So with every story that you present to us, you have to make a narrative choice. Anong klaseng mundo ito? Yung ginawa ninyo kanina, it's very real. Another writer might make it campy. Pag nag-campy na yan, i-exaggerate na niya ang mga kilos ng characters. Magka-campy na yan. Or another writer may want to present a world that's real or absurd na. I-exaggerate nila lalo. So mag-iba-iba, depende sa narrative choice nyo. You have to choose. Another writer may want to show a world that's horrifying. So pinapakita niya lahat ng kilos kanina, magdadagdag siya ng details, audio details, visual details, para pakita na natatawa tayo sa mundong ito, but actually it's a very terrifying world na makalagyan natin. If we live in this kind of a world, it's terrifying. Then pwede na niyang i-tweak ng writers to go in that direction. Kung familiar kayo sa Little Mermaid, nag-end yung Little Mermaid na hindi nagkatuluyan yung prinsipe at yung mermaid. The mermaid made a sacrifice, hindi niya pinatay yung prinsipe, which was the only thing na sana pwede na siya magkaroon ng kaluluwa pag pinatay niya yung prinsipe. Hindi niya pinatay yung prinsipe, kaya yung prinsipe nagpakasal sa ibang babae, and siya na natiling kaluluwa, it will take her a long time bago siya magkaroon ng kaluluwa. So ganun siya kalungkot. Ibang klaseng mundo. Nang ginawa siya ng Disney, nagkatuluyan yung prinsipe at yung mermaid, at nakuha niya yung boses at nagkaroon siya ng kaluluwa. Ibang klaseng mundo. From the original fairy tale to the rendition, nagbago yung mundo nila. So that's the world that they present to us. You have to make a choice sa klase ng mundo. And the rhythm, the tone of the film, of the story will follow. The kind of dialogues will follow. When I said campy, halimbawa may mga teleserye nagsasampalan, exaggerated, mga kilos bigger than life. Nagka-campy na sa exaggerated niya. Yung kanina, realistic pa rin siya. Hindi siya campy. So, nothing's going to tell us that this is better. This is good. Pag may gumawa ng campy, they can make a good campy rendition. Pag gumawa horrifying, good, horrifying, or absurdist, in its own right, it can be good or bad. But you have to make a choice. So, a film or a scene, merong what is it really about, the main point, from the occasion to the event. So what is it really about is the event. Kanina, nasabi na natin yung meaning niya, yung point, yung event. Dito, may pinuntan din siyang point, yung event. Ano nakadagdag sa point niya? Nag-meta siya. When we say meta, may self-awareness, a film within a film. May komentaryo yung kwento sa sarili niya. Nasa soap ba tayo? Ba't natin ito ginagawa? Sasabihin ng isang character. There's a self-awareness. May meta-ness siya. May self-reflective aspect. That makes it good. I'll mention one more thing now para lang yung lesson natin writing the scene. There's an element that we call a triangulation. Usually, in a situation, we introduce a third party to triangulate the situation, to change the situation. Si Mrs. Torres is a triangulator in the life of Sylvia. Nagbago yung life ni Sylvia nang pumasok si Mrs. Torres na triangulate. Pag mayroong mag-asawa at may pumasok na third party na ta-triangulate yung relationship, then something happens in the story. So there's a device that we call a triangulator.
And it's possible that the third is not necessarily a person, no? Not even a dog. Right, sir?
It can be a storm. Then, mababago yung takbo. May umentra. It can be a storm. It can be something really dramatic. It can also be something na hindi ganun ka-dramatic. Like, nung nasa taxi si Joey at tinatanong niya si Maggie, yung nanay niya, pwede ba akong humingi ng pera na pang pa-abort? And the mother says, hindi, may karapatan ka, etc., etc., pero ba't mo sinisira ang buhay? That scene is complete already nang wala yung paniningit ng taxi driver. Kompleto na yung dalawa nandun But with a taxi driver, it adds something more to the scene. Natatriangulate niyo yung eksena. May sumisingit sa eksena. It adds texture, it adds to the liko, and whatever else. May madadagdag siyang elemento. Or, na-authenticate niyo yung eksena. So, so pwedeng biglang lumindol o nagkasunog, or may biglang sumugod, and anything. Okay? In the end, it's a third party. And in the revising, you have to make it better. If it's good, make it better. If it's better na, make the best. So, wala nang magkatapusan yung pushing So what I'm bringing up now are the pushing, etc. steps that you can do. So pwede nyo i-push na along that line. Ang isang paghanap ng material is go to your bodega, your old hometown, or your bodega, or your kisame, kung nasaan yung mga childhood toys mo or stuffed toys, kung nasaan yung wedding photos ng parents mo or ng lola mo, all the old things, whether hometown, bodega, attic, old room, or hindi ka na nakapunta sa bahay niyo sa probinsya where you grew up, and then pag uwi mo, nandun pa rin yung kwarto mo nung bata ka until age 10, and then pumunta ka sa kwartong yun na nandun ka nung age 10 noon, and then you go back to when you were age 10. It's one way, one rich source na pangagalingan ng mga konsepto, ng mga material, ng mga kwento. And you will always remember na may kahon kasi nandun. When we go back sa childhoods natin, like I was talking to you about kanina, yung nanay ko, tatay ko, and aswang na pumatay, and so on, tatay ko ng immigrant. When you go back there and you go back to your old self, then you look for what's wala. Ano yung wala sa inyo noon? Ano yung wala sa akin noon growing up? That's why bangga ako ng bangga sa kahon. Ano yung wala? Kaya gusto kong mag-create ng Quiapo. You go back to your old selves and see ano yung wala sa inyo. This is what was wala in me. O ito yung mga wala sa akin. Yun ang malalaking puwersa that is going to drive you in writing. Kung ano yung wala sa iyo noon, one big force. Wala akong sense of belonging nung bata pa ako, and up to now, it's what pushes me to write. One of the things that pushes me to write. Many of my characters, mga protagonists ko, are people who do not belong, people who are marginalized, people who are in the gilid of society wanting to belong. Elsa does not belong in Himala. The women of Moral do not belong. They keep claiming their space in society and in the sun hanggang maklaim nila. Pero inagawan sila ng space. They do not belong. Almost all of my characters na mga bida do not belong because isa yung wala sa akin nung bata pa ako na nagpupush sa akin. Yun ang ibig ko sabihin na pinipilit kong gawing Quiapo, yung diet ko, na dala-dala ko up to now. Not being able to communicate is one thing that's wala with me in the past because immigrant yung tatay ko na Chinese, hindi ako mahusay mag-Chinese, mahihayin siya, mahihayin ako, we hardly talk. Until he died when I was in grade 5, namatay din siya na maaga after a few years ng nanay ko. I never really got to talk to him nung buhay siya, and I never really got to talk to him na nung patay na siya. So, the never being able to talk is a constant push in many of my stories, short stories especially, people who don't have voices. I did a novel called Bahay ni Marta. May deaf-mute akong bata and may woman ako na ni-rape. Hindi sila makapagsalita kasi sa society natin, kadalasan ng daming forces, hindi tayo makapagsalita. So in the novel, yung bahay mismo napilitang magsalita at magkwento. So yung bahay ang nagsasalita at nagkakwento at nakakapag-usap sila in their own language, in their own way, nung batang pipi, para pag-usapan yung kwento nung ni Marta na na-rape. Kasi wala silang boses. So, but it is the wala that pushes us. So you may look into that sa inyong childhood, sa inyong bodega, old stuff, old Christmas cards, and old toys and so on, or your old diaries, and take a look at it again. Your report card when you were in high school, it can be one rich source ng kwento. But ulitin ko, yung wala doon ang magtutulak sa inyo para gawin yung kwento. And so now that malalaki na tayo, every story that we write, we try to keep filling up the wala with every story that we write. If we felt we didn't belong nung bata pa tayo, we keep writing stories about wanting to belong or belonging. If we feel na mababa ang tingin natin sa sarili natin, we keep doing that. If we feel na we've been invisible all throughout life, hindi ka nakita ng parents mo, hindi ka mga kaibigan, tulong ka ng tulong, hindi ka pa rin nakikita, ang dami mo ng achievements, hindi ka pa rin nakikita ng parents mo. If you feel that na hindi ka nakikita growing up, then lalabas at lalabas yun sa mga kwento nyo. Kasi yun yung mundo na dala-dala mo. Then, ang mga kwento mo will be about people na hindi nakikita pero sana makita. Okay? So yun, in a way, ang paglikha ng mundo. It starts with recognizing the world that you grew up in, the world that you carry inside you, and then after that, all the other worlds na nasa loob mo. And then the world that you're existing in now, yung society natin, kailangan makilala niyo yun.